What's going on, guys? It's your man, Jerome Jones, here. Happy to be here on our RPO College Football Podcast. We got a live, good crew of people right here. We got my man, Ray Roberts. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing well. And we got my man, Jacob. He's back. He's back again. So if you guys miss him, he's back to talk some running backs. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm feeling sensational, man.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And look, listen, we're going to talk about some of the guys in the NFL draft this year. And like I kind of alluded to it already, we're going to talk about the running backs again this week. So last week we did quarterbacks. If you haven't seen that, go back, check that out. We had a great conversation with Jack last week. So this week we got Jacob to come in and help us with talk about some running backs. So let's get right into it. So overall, guys, before we get into individual running backs, I want to hear what you guys think about this running back class. Do it measure up? Is it more depth? You got some good guys. Like, Jacob, I want you to start up. What do you think about this class this year?
I'll go first then. I really like the top half of this class. There's some really good high-level talent, I believe, in this class that I don't think you always see in every year. I think some years you'll see more depth, but I really like the guys at the top this year. I think there's one or two, maybe three potential stars here, but definitely some guys you can get in the first 2 days that are going to be high-impact starters for a good amount of time.
What do you think about this class, right?
I think it's really deep. I like the running back class. I don't think it has quite the – last year I saw 5 guys that were like – legit 3-down backs. This year I see 2 or 3 3-down type backs and then a lot of depth after that. So
definitely. Yeah, this is definitely a good class. So we're going to get right into it, guys. But for our viewers that are watching us live right now, either you're on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitter, please come in, have your comments in here. We love to talk about your comments and things like that. If you have any player that you want us to talk about, we'll try to briefly talk about that. So leave your comments in there when you can. So let's get right into this, guys. And I'm going to start with Ray. Let's get into your top 5 running backs of the 2021 NFL draft.
All right. Well, number 1 guy, I have Najee Harris from Alabama. To me, you could go 1 and 1A with him and Travis Etienne. But I think Najee Harris showed you that he can catch the ball a little bit more than we had previously seen him do it. And I just think that you don't arm tackle this guy. You can't. I mean, he can run around you. He can run through you. He runs with power. He has a great burst. He showed pretty good hands this year, catching, way more balls than he had previous. I think he caught like 40-some balls this year for the first time. Most he caught before was like 30, like low 30s. So he had a really good year this year. Travis Etienne is my second guy, but again, it kind of depends on what you want out of your running back. I think Etienne is more of a guy where he can run and do some things in the power game, but he's more of an outside type of guy, a slot kid who's very versatile. He does tend to bounce it outside a little bit more than I would like, but then that's he's been doing that his whole life and he's always gotten away with it. So I like them two are my favorite, like 1A, 1B, however you want to put it. But I'll put Harris first because the kid had just a ridiculous season this year. Devontae Williams from North Carolina is my number 3 guy. Another guy I think Jacob has spoke earlier. I think he's another guy who potentially could be a 3-down type back. Has not caught a lot of balls. He caught like 25 balls this year for 300 yards. So it's not he's horrible at it. It's just not really a strength for him. But I think he, again, could be a 3-down back at the next level. And I like Javonte Williams. Again, everybody knows I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm hoping Miami gets one of them 3 guys in the first, maybe the second round. I'm thinking whoever slips into that 36th pick in the second round, Miami should jump on them, to be honest with you. But that's my top 3. The other, like I just spoke before, I think I like Marco Carter as my number 4 guy. Again, a guy who can do some things in the slot, can run the ball, runs with pretty good power for a guy who's, only 5'8", like slightly under 200 pounds, but a good football player. And he's my number 4 guy. And I have Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis as my number 5 guy. This guy is power. He's not that big. He's only like Again, 5'11", a little under 200 pounds, but he runs with conviction and power. He sees the hole and he takes the hole. So that's my number 5 guy.
Definitely, I like the list, right? I got a couple of questions for you, but first of all, I want to talk about Michael Carter. We got to see him at the Senior Bowl. He showed very good patience in the running game, so I thought he was a good guy. So I do like that pick that you have there. Najee Harris, number 1. That's a consensus, I think, with everybody, especially after this year, with having the a lot more passing touchdowns and passing catches in general. From him, and just showing, following up from the previous year with him, his rushing. Everybody knew coming into this year he's going to be a beast rushing, but I think just having that, passing presence helps him out a lot. But Travis Etienne, I wanted to kind of touch on him just a little bit. I had the question, and I think we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts, right? Are you concerned about some of his fumbling issues of late this past year? He had a couple of extra fumbles this year that really cost his team. Are you concerned about that any at all, or how you feel about that?
If you're not concerned about fumbling issues, then you're not really a good football evaluator. You're not thinking from the coach's point of view. Correct. To the coach, the number one thing is don't turn the ball over. Get what you can, hopefully get more than you can, but don't turn the ball over. So that's always a concern. But I mean, the kid's explosive. He's been like one of the best running backs for like over 2 years now. Really going into the season, I have him as my number 1 back. And I think Najee Harris, with his ability to catch the ball, is kind of like overtaking him as the number 1 back. But no, I have no problem with Travis Etienne. He's going to be a stud. I think he's going to be a really good football player. But do I need him to hold on to the ball? Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, Jacob, let's get to your list. Who you got, my man?
All right, so we're going to start out with number 1, Najee Harris. I'm not going to do the 1A, 1B type of thing. To me, Najee Harris is a clear-cut best back in this draft. He, to me, is I almost thought he should have declared last year because I was such a big fan of him. He was my number 1 heading into the season. He got even better. He looked like one of the top 3 pass-catching backs this year, which is crazy for how big he is. Super powerful, really big bruising back, but also has a lot of nimbleness with his feet. He should not be able to dance around as much as he does. It's crazy. You almost get the feeling of watching Derrick Henry when you watch him, where it's like, all right, he's big, but he's not Jerome Bettis. He can actually run in zone concepts and bend in and out. So his footwork is crazy. Najee Harris, to me, would have been either my best back last year or my second best back because JT was an alien. But 2, I got Travis Etienne. I'm a little bit more down on him than some people are. I think he's got a lot of good things about him. I think he's very fast. I think he's got great burst, crazy contact balance for not being a big back. But I'm a little more afraid that he's faster than he is quick and elusive. I want to see a little bit more elusiveness from him, and I want to see him keep getting better at catching the ball. And I want to see him stop fumbling the ball too. I mean, that's a very easy way as a rookie to lose playing time. Especially if you have an old school type coach, they're not going to have that. God, forget. Please don't let this man go to the Patriots because we might not see him ever again. 3, Javonte Williams. I 100% think he can be a 3-down back because as a running back, to stay on the field in 3rd downs, you either have to be able to catch the ball or you got to be able to protect the passer. And Javonte Williams can protect the passer. I saw him on a rep pancake a defensive tackle. Never seen a running back do that in my life. I saw him run blocking for, I believe it was Michael Carter, demolishing a linebacker. He loves blocking. I want him on my team. Physical running back, always breaks the first and second tackle usually. Isn't going to run a 4.3, but that's all right. I just need him to keep getting them 10-yard gains and pushing the pile forward. 4, Michael Carter, elusive, fast, can catch the ball. I like him. Take him in day 2. have a nice little weapon. And then 5, Kenneth Gainwell as well. Really good, more power than you would think for how small he is, and can catch the ball like a receiver. I love Memphis running backs. I like Gibson. I like Henderson. And I like Gainwell.
Nice. That's so y'all lists are pretty similar. I think it was almost the same exact.
Yeah, same exact list. Yeah,
same exact list. That's crazy. Ray always like to have the same list as everybody else on the podcast.
That's why I threw up my arms. I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna have to differ later on then.
Same exact thing. So, guys, if you're going to go in the comment section, so I'm gonna pose this question for the viewers right now. So, what school do you think is RBU? So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I said Memphis is starting to become that RBU. And some people say Alabama, and I kind of debunked the Alabama trope because Alabama's a all-around U. So
it's football U right there.
Football U right
there. They're amazing at everything.
Exactly, they're amazing at everything. So put in the comment section, anybody, put it right down there. Anybody, any school that you think is a DBU, we really appreciate that, and we'll put your comments on the screen also. But let's get into our next session. It is the top 5 sleepers in this draft. Now, you guys named some really good running backs that are going to be some great contributors or even starters in this game. Let's get to some sleeper guys that nobody's really talking about or don't really know. And I'll start with you, Jacob. Who's your top 5 sleepers?
So the guy that I can't believe more people aren't talking about is Buffalo's Jaret Patterson. I mean, he was arguably the most productive back in all of college football this year. We're talking about a guy that had 8 touchdowns in a game. And nobody's talking about him. You know what I mean? 400 yards, 8 touchdowns in a game. He has really good contact balance, aggressive runner, good vision, really agile. He really hasn't shown anything catching the ball because, like, why wouldn't you just run the ball with him? I think that I don't care that he played in the MAC. You're gonna see that with my wide receiver rankings. I don't really care about conference, but I am a really big fan of Jaret Patterson. If I can get him early day 3, let me take him, put him in the committee. I really like him. Some other guys, Jamar Jefferson, going to be a good speedy threat, can catch the ball. Javion Hawkins is the same way from Louisville. Jamar Jefferson from Oregon State, but Javion Hawkins, a nice speedy back. I really like them too as other sleepers because if you're going to be taking a guy on day 3, you might as well take a speedster that can be a change of pace guy and be a home run threat.
Awesome. Great list, man. Jaret Patterson is one of the guys that we got to talk to on an interview. So if you haven't seen that, please check it out on InsideTheHatches.com, or you can find it on any of our podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that. You can find it on there. Great guy. He almost broke the record. The coach took him out of the game. He had 8 touchdowns in that game, and the coach took him out of the game and let the backup, and I believe his name's Marks, let him in the game, and he got the touchdown. And everybody was like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And so it was incredible to see him get those 8 touchdowns, and possibly he would have got the 9th if his coach wouldn't have took him out. Ray, I want to hear your list.
Well, I'm going to go one better on that. The problem with Patterson is he also needed 17 yards to set the record for his conference all-time leading rusher, and he was 17 yards away, and they got the ball to the 20-yard line, and he never touched the ball again after that.
Yeah.
So kudos to his coach, killing the kids. Could have been in the record books forever, but but it's funny. You just talked about how mine and Jacob's list were very similar, and I had Jaret Patterson first too. So the kid is a stud, man. I mean, as far as getting from point A to point B as quickly as anybody in this draft, he may be that guy, man. He's unbelievable. Like Jacob said, had 8 touchdowns. I think almost 400 yards in one game. I mean, it is not just like he's in 1 year. He had almost 1,800 yards in 2019 too. So he's good. And like Jacob also said, people will talk about the conference he plays in, and I don't disagree with worry about certain guys that play at lower level divisions, and that's fine. But this kid has been the best player in that conference for 2 years now. So there's no questioning what Jared Patterson can do. I mean, the kid's a beast. So he's my number one. I have Kylan Hill from Mississippi as my number two guy. Again, 1,300 yards in 2019. Didn't play this year, but had a great year in 2019. And I have heard some things about he's a little bit of a troubled kid. I don't know exactly the whole story, but I heard a little bit of that. I was watching some game film on him, and an alert came up about some off the field issues. But again, I don't know what they are, so I'm not going to go into them. I just wanted to mention that there is a little bit of a red flag about his personality or something. But again, had a great 2019 season. I think the kid's a player. He will definitely be a rotation type player at the next level. So I would take a flyer on him if it were up to me. I have Khalil Herbert from Virginia Tech as my number 3 kid. A little over 1,100 yards this year, average over 7 yards a carry, had 10 touchdowns, had a great season in 2019 too. I don't have his stats right here in front of me, but he had a very good year in 2019 also. He's my number 3. Number 4 is Ramondre Stevenson from Oklahoma. Really like him as a power guy, a rotation type kid that will go in there and do some things, especially on first and second down. Trey Sermon, who caught fire at the end of the year and really kind of like not that Ohio State was going to win their playoff game, but him getting hurt in the first play of that game really put a damper on their running game without a doubt. And again, the last 8 games of the season, it was as hot as anybody in college football. I mean, he was ridiculous at the end. And I have one more guy. I have Javian Hawkins from Louisville. I really like this kid as an all-purpose dual threat kid who can catch the ball and make plays all over the field. You watch him at every level. He's quick. He's elusive. He catches the ball well. I couldn't leave him off my list, but I wanted to make sure I got everybody. So.
Nice. Oh, great list, Ray. I really do like your list. Unfortunately, Sermon got injured at the end of the year, so that's gonna hamper his draft stock a little bit. You talk about Kalen Hill. I believe he actually played the beginning of this year, and then he opted out a couple of games in, if I'm not mistaken about that. Yeah. So he did play some games this year. He was actually at the Senior Bowl this year. Also, he didn't get a lot of He didn't do a lot of production there, so that's also maybe a concern also with not being able to get on the field that much at the Senior Bowl. And Ray, if there are the rumors about his character, that might damper him a little bit too as well. So we'll definitely see about those guys for sure.
And I've only heard like bits and pieces of everything. That's why I don't want to put any shadows on this kid. This kid's a productive football player. Especially 2019, he was really, really good. So he'll get taken by somebody, probably not till day 3 at least, but I think he'll get taken by somebody. So
awesome, that's great, man. Well, let's get into our sleepers right now. Our small school running back. So these are running backs that go to small schools that a lot of people know about because of the school they went to. We talked about Jared Patterson already. That goes to Buffalo, another school that a lot of people don't know about. Even like Khalil Mack went to Buffalo, and nobody knew about him until the draft, and he became one of those guys. So we're gonna talk about small school running backs. Ray, who's your top 5 small school running backs?
Well, I've already covered 2 of them. One is Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. We've talked about how Memphis is becoming that smaller school team that really just starting to produce running backs every year or every other year. You're seeing kids come from that Memphis program. So I have him number 1. I have Jared Patterson number 2, obviously. I mean, his stats speak for themselves. Me and Jacob have spoken about how much we like the kid. So he's number 2, obviously. My number 3 guy is Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana. Nice football player, average over 6 yards a carry and 8 touchdowns. I think he only played 5 or 6 games. I'm not exactly sure about that. I just watched like some of his game film last night actually for the first time. I was looking through some guys that like maybe guys that everybody haven't heard of, but I like Elijah Mitchell a lot. I think he's a good football player. Again, I don't think he'll get taken until the 5th round, 6th round maybe, but I think he's a nice rotation type of a kid. Big kid, 5'11", 220, runs with some power. has a nice burst. I think he's a good football player. Now, number 4 kid is Jaquan Hardy from Tiffin, another small school kid, but a really productive football average player, average over 6 yards a carry, only caught 10 balls for a guy who is only 5'9"-ish. Wish he probably would have caught a little bit more balls, but he's a good football player. My number 5 kid is Caleb Hutley from Ball State. This kid is 5'10", 230. Man. He's a bowling ball, a wrecking ball, a guy that you better put 3 hats on, because if not, you're not going to take him down. And I have one more. CJ Marble from Coastal Carolina. Again, a dual threat, all-purpose type kid. So I'm going to throw him out there.
Thank you, Ray, for this.
Your list again.
Yeah. So yeah, Jacob's over here. Very antsy. So we'll get to you in a second, Jacob. But Ray, really good list. A couple of guys that you already mentioned in your first one. I do like Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana. I think he's going to be a solid running back. We got to see him at the Senior Bowl as well. He had a solid week that week, and a really solid week. I'm not sure about his pro pass, so pass protection. If you guys don't know, we'll see about that. We'll see how he does with that. But I think he'll be definitely a guy that you can put in that rotation right there as well.
Yeah, I like the kid. He runs with conviction, man. Again, to me, speed is not important with running backs until they get out in the open field. Yeah. Point A to point B. Can he get in that 4 or 5 yards quick and with conviction? And this kid does that. So,
yeah, and I think even more important than speed is your vision. So, like a running back that can see the holes and pick up the holes when they're not always there, because it's not always going to be there. And there's the NFL. These linebackers are fast, so you have to be able to quickly decipher when their holes are opening up with that as well. So. We'll see how he does in the NFL. And Jacob, I know you're antsy to talk about your list because it looked like you had a couple of guys that Ray stole from you. So go ahead. Let's hear your list.
All right. So it might not be the smallest of schools here, but I'm going to consider Oregon State a little bit smaller. I touched on them a little bit with the sleepers, but Jamar Jefferson's one of my personal top 10 backs. He's smaller. He catch passes. He's got good speed. He's got good agility. He's a home run threat every time he gets the ball. I really like Jamar Jefferson. Caleb Hutley was the one I was looking at. It was extremely, extremely productive in 2019 with Ball State. Had over 1,200 yards. Bowling ball, powerful type of running back that can also scoot a bit. I mean, he's got some pretty solid burst and speed. Who was I looking at? Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown was the other small school guy I was looking at from Alabama, Birmingham, another big back, although he's lost a little bit of weight from the year before. They were saying he was down to like 220. Still big, physical, decisive runner, some solid vision. Something I look for in a power back is the ability to fall forward. I know it sounds like goofy, but too many guys don't fall forward and they lose yardage that way. Spencer Brown's one of those guys that's good at just making the smart decision, getting as much yardage as he can. He kind of reminds me of Jordan Howard in that way. So those are just a couple of guys that are from smaller schools that I have an eye on.
Nice. You don't have CJ Merbo?
Yeah, he was the other one I was trying to think of. Yeah, I was watching him earlier today because someone on Twitter told me to watch his film. Another guy that can be a nice little productive. I hope he's drafted. You know what I mean? I hope a team takes the flyer on him at day 3. But he's another one of those. Even if he is a UDFA, could find himself sticking onto a roster. I like this game. He had a good game against in the big game against BYU, and that's always important to me for guys to perform in those big games.
Definitely. I think what you see with Marble is that he can come in right away and maybe be a third down back for you as far as catching the ball out of the backfield. People miss him.
Yeah, I mean, he had over 30 catches both years. Yeah.
There's always a valuable player. Like them third down backs don't get the credit they deserve because it's not easy to come off the bench and put out there and and move into the slot and do things. And he's a solid blocker. He's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call him a threat because he's a smaller guy,
Yeah.
but he'll at least get in the guy's way and make a legit, attempt at it. So
Agreed.
I like him. I like Marble a lot.
Yeah,
I agree.
awesome. With CJ Marble, one of the guys that we got to talk to with Inside the Hatches, he actually started off the season in a rotation. They had like a 3 running back rotation. Their running backs are really good down there. And then you see as the season went on, they're like, wait, we need to feature him a little bit more and more. And he started getting even more and more carries. Like started taking even more bulk of the carries toward the end of the year. So that tells you, he's one of the leaders in that offense, and they was like, all right, let's start the year off with a rotation, give him less carries on him, and then they realized like we need to feature him a little bit more, which was great to see him really take that role and go forward from there.
If I can get these guys from Coastal Carolina on my team, whether it's a day 3 pick, whether if it's a UDFA, if I can get them onto my team, because what I've noticed is that team had such a high culture to them.
Right.
And that entire roster just seems like guys that you want in your locker room. At least guys you want to give a chance because they're going to work their tail off for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they had a rookie quarterback that was back there also that looked like he can be make some noise coming soon. So keep an eye on that team for sure. We got to interview a couple of those guys down there. We'll definitely be talking about that a little bit later in our other reviews and our future podcast. So make sure you keep checking us out because we will be talking about a lot of these players as well. So let's get into our last segment. I love this segment. It's super fun. We're going to call it the best fit game. And the best fit game is fun for me because I get to pitch you guys in the blender. Let you guys, figure it out yourselves on the spot. This is not predetermined teams. I make them up as I go, and I let you guys figure it out on the fly. So I have fun seeing you guys fumble over this, to be honest, especially Ray. So we're going to get into our first team. Now, this team is probably one of the more obvious teams that need a running back. They had Chase Edmonds last year who didn't really pan out. Kenyon Drake that didn't really pay out. We're gonna go with the Cardinals. So start over with Ray. Who do you think is the best fit for the Cardinals in this draft?
You know what? If they could have anybody they wanted, I would take either Etienne or Michael Carter. In their offense, they want guys that can run physical, but they also want guys you can move into the slot, can spread things out with Kyler Murray, so they can use their whole offensive playbook, their whole offensive scheme. They're good receivers. If you added a guy like Michael Carter or Travis Etienne to that offense, it would probably take it to the next level.
Awesome. What about you, Jacob?
1 second. So if I'm looking at it, I don't think they're going to try. I don't think they're going to take a running back high. I think they're going to be looking more in the day 2 and day 3. I wonder if they would give Javion Hawkins a look here. They could have another guy that can come in, add some more speed to that, be another receiving back that could be more implemented in that air raid that they run there. And I think could be a good day 3 pick that they add there. I wonder if they potentially look to shake it up a little bit more and add more of a power back, more of a power presence to it. And I think if they were, Ramondre Stevenson would not be a bad idea because he's big and powerful, but he also showed at the Senior Bowl the willingness to block and to do it well, and a bit better hands than I think any of us thought he had. So I wonder if they would give Stevenson a look there if they wanted more of a power presence and a goal line back.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot is that these teams that have these running quarterbacks that do the RPOs and stuff, they usually have a more bigger back there as well. As you look at the Ravens, Carolina when they had it before, they go for a little bit more the bigger back sometimes. I mean, so I think that's a good idea right there, Jacob. So we're gonna get to our next team. This is Ray's favorite team. He knows they need a running back. We know they need a running back. We're going to talk about the Dolphins. I'm gonna let Jacob start off because I know Ray is gonna have a lot to say about this pick, and I know he's excited about getting a running back early. So, go ahead, Jacob. Who you got for the Dolphins?
Man, give him Najee Harris. Get Najee Harris. Get Tua as running back, man. I know he wasn't featured as much when Tua was there at Bama, but I think they should just take the best back available there. And if that's Harris, why not? Do something great. Do something great, Dolphins. And if ETN's the guy there, hey, take ETN. But just take whatever top back is there because they kind of have a bit of a blank slate that they could do with that offense right now. They've gotten their defense figured out, but if they're going to stick with Tua, they kind of can go whichever direction they want in this offseason. But seeing some of the guys they have on that line, I think they could do pretty good things with Najee Harris.
So, Ray, I know you always talk about getting a running back pretty early. How do you feel about Najee Harris, and you think that the Dolphins should go after the best back they can possibly get?
I do. I think that, again, with the third, I don't want to take one in the first round. I don't. No, if they say Miami with the 18th pick took Najee Harris, I would not be upset. I don't think they'll do that, but I wouldn't be upset with it. But I think whoever's there with that 36th pick, I don't think Najee. That's the problem. I don't think Najee Harris will be there with that pick.
No,
I think if he's not taken like late first round, he's early. He's early second round pick. So I would look for them to take either Travis Etienne or Javonte Williams. But you know what? If they didn't hit on running back, say for some reason, I think they were thinking about taking a running back last year, but then just nobody fell to them where they wanted them to. So if they said, well, we're not going to do that, and if they waited till like day 2 to pick a running back and they got like a Khalil Herbert in the 3rd round or even a Jared Pedersen and Khalil Herbert in the 3rd and 4th round, I would be okay with that. But I think with the 36th pick, they should just take if Harris, Etienne, or Javonte Williams are there with the 36th pick, I would take whoever is left out of that trade.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to our next team. It's going to be your rivals, Ray. We're going to talk about the Jets. Now, the Jets don't have Le'Veon Bell. They got rid of him this season. They need a running back. Who do you think that would be a good fit for the Jets?
Talking to me now?
Yes, sir.
I would go with them. I would go either Javonte Williams or Kenneth Gainwell. I think they're going to want a power back, a guy who's going to run with conviction. I don't think that it's kind of hard to say because with the 49ers, the coach being from the 49ers, being in that same mindset, they ran a lot of power, mostly power concepts with San Francisco. So I think if you took a Kenneth Gainwell or a Javonte Williams, you could do whatever you wanted to do with that team.
Yeah,
of course, I hope whoever they take is a bust, but that's just me.
Well, the Jets definitely need to rely on their running game a little bit more, especially if they're going to keep Darnold. Even if they don't keep Darnold, they need to rely on the running game a little bit more because whoever's going to be in there, if it's not Darnold, it's most likely going to be a young quarterback. So I think they need to protect him a little bit, to run him more. Jacob, who do you think that person could be?
The pick I want to see on the Jets, since I don't want to just keep saying, oh, draft Najee Harris. They should. But if we're going to go a little bit out of the box here, looking at either that 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick, 66, Trey Sermon. I like Trey Sermon there. I'm a real big fan of Trey Sermon. All right, he's mine. He's 6 overall back, right there with Gainwell. I think he's an extremely physical runner. I don't like player comps that much, but I'm not saying he's Kareem Hunt, but they got a very similar running style. And I a really big fan of I was a big fan of Sermon coming into the year with his running style, and he did nothing but take off. So take off Jets. There you go. But just take him and be great. Take him and be great, man. Take yourself a running power back there, get your quarterback, get a wide receiver, or an offensive lineman because that line stinks, and take Trey Sermon. Maybe take a little change of pace back later in the draft, but I think Trey Sermon would do great there.
Jacob, we appreciate your dad joke there, but
I blame this one kid I work with.
So let's get into our next team. This is a team that might be losing their star running back. Even then, they might want to still draft a running back. They're very notorious for getting running backs. That is the Seattle Seahawks. There's rumors that Chris Carson might not be back this year. They do have the backup. Man, I'm blanking on his name right now. Not Carl. They have Carlos Hyde too.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Carlos Hyde.
Penny.
I think Carlos Hyde is a free agent.
They got is Sean Penny still there?
And Penny, but they do have Penny, but he's been injured the last couple of years.
Very injured.
Jacob, who you got for them? Who you think it would be good for the Seahawks?
I'm pretty sure I tweeted this the other day, but if Chris Carson's gone, I think they should give Ramondre Stevenson a look as well. If not, even if so, I think Jared Patterson would be another good player that they can look for, be like an early down back in a committee. If they keep those guys, though, I wouldn't hate it if they look for like a Jabbar Jefferson type of back to be a change of pace back, because I don't really think they have a change of pace guy there. And if they're going to keep Carson, I think they need a guy that's going to better complement him. So either Jamar Jefferson, Javion Hawkins, guys like that can be that maybe 5 to 7 touch a game type of guy and really help make a very one-dimensional Seattle offense better.
All right, awesome. What do you think, Ray?
I just see like a Kenneth Gainwell go in there. I think they seem to like to take the weird player that no one thinks they're going to take, Seattle. And I can see that, or I can see Elijah Mitchell fitting in there. They love running a lot of power in Seattle. I think that either one of them two guys could fit in there. I don't think no one's going to take a running back early. People just don't value the position anymore. I mean, unless you're one of them top 2 guys in Harris and Etienne, no one's going to take them guys for like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. And if you're going to do that, you take like a Kenneth Gainwell or Elijah Mitchell. They run Seattle power concepts like Seattle likes to run. I think they would fit in really nice with that team. So
definitely, I like those picks. Let's give to our next guys. We're going to talk about a team that seem to be drafts a running back almost every other year or every year. They got Sony Michel. They got Damian Harris. But a lot of people still think that the Patriots, who's in the team, the Patriots are going to be the next team that might even draft a running back. Like I said, they've been consistently drafting running backs every year. They had that heavy rotation in the running backs. I don't think they have a full grasp of who they like there still. So, Ray, if they are going to pick somebody, who do you think they would pick?
I think they would go with like a Trey Sermon. They seem to like the bigger school kids also. I think maybe you could see like a either Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, I think that they have guys that like Sony Michel or who are good slashing type backs. To get someone who's a little bit more physical, I think would be a nice fit for them. So,
what do you think, Jacob?
So I'm gonna go a little bit outside the box with this because we haven't talked about him yet, which sounds crazy if you haven't watched football at all this year. But they already have a 3rd down guy. Maybe they give Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma State a look. Let's not forget how good he was a year ago. He's still got good speed. I like him as a runner. I just have very big questions about him as like his 3rd down role. So if they're just looking for someone that could be just a runner for them, hey, why not? Or they could just take Jared Patterson. They already interviewed him. They're interviewing him now. So if they already got the 3rd down guy, why not take one of the most productive rushers in the NCAA? those are two guys I think they should give a look to on day 3.
Definitely. Hey Ray, I seen you laugh a little bit. What do you think about what he said about Chubb?
What he said was exactly right. It's just weird that we've been in this thing for 45 minutes and we just started talking about a guy who had 2,000 years and 2,000 yards in 2019. And I was going to say, like a couple minutes ago, isn't it weird we're talking about running backs and no one has mentioned Chuba Hubbard yet?
It's very weird. He did not this year did not do him any favors. I really wish he did stay opted out for his draft sake.
Jerome, remember last year we were like, is this guy making a mistake not coming out last year? Yes, he made a huge mistake not coming out last year.
He was going to be a top 5 back last year, potentially.
He was. He was.
He was, yeah, you know. So, I don't know. Last year was stacked still, but.
I've had this conversation with many people, and some people say, no, well, NFL people don't draft like that. They're not going to say, oh, well, he had a great year last year. He would have won earlier. His game film was so much better in 2019 than it was this year. His contact balance this year. Now, don't get me wrong. Oklahoma State offensive line was not that great this year. And that was that was part of the problem. But you see questions about, like, is this guy going to be able to get past that initial line? Is he going to? Is he? If you get a shoulder on him, are you going to take him down? That's the concern. Once he gets in the open, he can fly. No one questions that. But is he going to be able to get to that second and third level before he gets tackled? Is the question.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Awesome. So let's get to our next team. So we got 4 more teams we're going to talk about now. So we're going to go. Each person, I'm gonna give you guys a team and you explain them. Jacob, I'm gonna start with you because you're a fan of this team. I'm a fan of this team, as you see from my shirt already. Philadelphia Eagles. We already have Miles Sanders, but we now got Nick Sirianni. We just got him. He's a guy that come from Indianapolis. Indianapolis had a big rotation on the running backs. They had Hines, they had Taylor, they had what's his name where he got out injured. I forgot his name.
Oh, Mac.
They had Mac. So they were deep at the running back position, and a lot of people are speculating that he's going to draft another running back. So who would you like for the Eagles to get in this draft?
And they're speculating that because he should. The fact that the Eagles haven't had another capable running back, no offense to Boston Scott, he's got his role, but another power back. We don't have a power back. We don't have a guy that can get it done in short yardage situations. Not saying we should have kept Jordan Howard, but he's not the best.
Technically still on the roster.
Yeah, he's technically still on the roster, but he's not. I think I know it might be a little bit early, but I think we should give Javonte Williams a look and have a 1-2 combo with him and Miles Sanders. I just really am a big fan of Williams, and I think we're sorely lacking that power back on this team. Because if you remember back to the championship years, I mean, we had Blunt, we had Ajayi. We were able to mix in that power, and I think we're really missing that right now. And I think it would help out Sanders a lot right now because he looked kind of not iffy, but it looks like they're not sold on him being a workhorse. So if you're not sold on him being a workhorse, hey, bring someone else in, split it up, and just run the ball a lot, especially if you got Hurts and you're keeping Hurts. And get yourself another running back and just have a really vaunted running attack.
All right, I like it. Me being an Eagles fan, I'm gonna chime in real quick, but I would really love the Eagles to get Jared Patterson. I think he'll be perfect for what we're trying to do.
Agreed.
Especially with the RPOs that if it is gonna be Hurts, the RPOs, but Jared Patterson in the lineup, I think that would be perfect for us.
Guys, remember one thing though. Is Howie Roseman. So say who you don't want, and then he'll take who you do want. Okay?
You're right. You're definitely right, Ray. All right. Well, Ray, we're gonna give you a team that have their number one back. They just got him in free agency. They might not be sold on this guy. He's been having some injuries coming from the Rams. We're gonna talk about the Falcons because they do have Gurley, but a lot of people think that they're not completely sold on Gurley. Who do you think that the Falcons can potentially grab?
You know what? I think a guy like Michael Carter would fit in very well with Atlanta. A high energy kid, a good football player, a smart football player. I think that Atlanta has a lot of need, especially on the offensive and defensive line. If I were them, I would go there with my first two picks there. And then maybe in the third round, you could get like a Michael Carter or a Kenneth Gainwell, guys that can do a little bit of everything, catch the ball, run the ball. I think that would be what I would do if I were the Falcons.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that would be a great fit, right? I think that would be a really good fit for them. Give them kind of that I'm blanking on names today. Freeman. Giving a Freeman kind of vibe with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I hate that.
I just think that if you're Atlanta, you need to reestablish that you have a good locker room. I think honestly, if I were them, I would try to trade Matt Ryan, but they're not going to do that. So let's get someone in there right now, a Michael Carter or Jared Pedersen, who can come in here and help us run the ball and recommit to our running game, so we can hopefully Matt Ryan has a couple more good years left in him. So
definitely. All right. Well, Jacob, we're gonna get you another team that has another veteran running back. He just got picked up by the free agency as well. We're gonna talk about the Broncos. They just got Marvin Gordon, same deal as the Falcons. They might not be 100% sold on him. I know they have Philip Lindsay there. So who do you think that they can potentially grab?
It's a tough one because there's a lot of different things that they could do this offseason. I think they're the type of team that could use a receiving back, if I'm gonna be honest. Because Philip Lindsay's weird because he has like the stature of like a change of pace receiving back type, but like he doesn't really. It's not really his game. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind if this is another landing spot for Jamar Jefferson here on like a early day 3 type of pick here. We talked about him earlier. So if they're gonna look for like a really late round guy that could contribute, this wouldn't be a terrible idea to try getting CJ Marable here and seeing if he can provide a little bit of a role, stick with the team here. If they're not wanting to spend like a high pick on him, I think he could be potentially one of them late round guys or UDFAs that you see pop up, getting some game time for a team, fulfilling that role.
Definitely. I like that. Was a great pick. All right, let's get to our last team. This is gonna be for you, Ray. So you're gonna get to that last team for us. This team has drafted 2 running backs in the last 2 drafts. A lot of people are not sold on their lead back, which is Devin Singletary at the time. They just got draft Zach Moss. So the Buffalo Bills are the last team that we're going to talk about. Ray, some people think they still need a lead back. Now, I think that Devin Singletary is very viable running back, but not people a lot sold on their 2 backs. Zach Moss got injured at the end of the season. Who would you pick for the Bills?
I'll be honest with you. If I were Buffalo, that I would take Najee Harris in the end of the first round. I would be like, well, if I'm going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know Kansas City had a horrible Super Bowl, but you saw when they played against Buffalo needed to keep Kansas City's offense off the field. And the only way you can do that is to establish your running game. So that would be – I actually work with a guy who was a Bills fan, and I keep telling him, dude, don't overguess it. Just you can get receivers later on. I know Buffalo wants a receiver, and they would like an edge rusher. You're not going to get a primo edge rusher with the 25th pick, whatever it is, 26th, whatever it is. Take Najee Harris, commit to the running game, and then build the rest of your defensive needs later in the draft. That's what, if I were the Bills, I wouldn't even think about it. And I don't want him to, because I want Najee Harris to be here when Miami picks. But if I were the Buffalo Bills and Najee Harris or Travis Etienne is there, but if I were the Bills, I would target Najee Harris. I would want that guy and a guy who can come out and catch the ball with my quarterback, who every year seems to get a little bit better now. So.
Wow, right. That's weird because I never even thought about the possibility of Najee Harris going to the Bills. But I think that, like, if he goes to the Bills, that's definitely gonna make them consider one of the Super Bowl contenders right there. So that's a great pick.
If the Bills were to take Najee Harris and then improve their depth at wide receiver and defensive back, and maybe sign a defensive lineman, and they could be favorites to win the Super Bowl next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But that's going to end our podcast for today, guys. We thank you all for coming in. We'd like to thank Jacob for being here as our guest analyst today again. Also, Ray, as always, it's always great to see you and have you on here as well. And we thank you, listeners, for being in here as well. So we really do appreciate everybody that's in here and checking us out. But if you have not checked us out on our website, a lot of these players and a lot of these interviews that we've done are all on our website, so please check that out. We can also listen to all of it on our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just go in there, search Inside the Hatches, and you can find all our interviews. A lot of these players that we talk about are definitely in there, and they are a lot of great guys. So please make sure you go check that out. Also, make sure you check out our Discord. So we got the link down here. Go in there, check out the link. We do a lot of draft analysis and talk a lot of football in there. We got a new channel in there called the Draft Central that we talk football. So if anybody has some football and questions or anything like that, they want to ask us about who should get picked there, what teams, which your favorite team should pick, or if you want to do a mock draft and throw it in there and let us evaluate it, please go in there. Inside the Hashes on Discord, check it out. The link below. Please do that also. So guys, we thank you so much. Next week we're gonna have our first Inside the Hashes mock draft. So make sure you check us out next week. We're going to have Jacob in here. We're going to have Jack in here. We're going to have Ben in here. And, of course, my guy Ray. They're going to have a mock draft next week. It's going to be very fun. So make sure you check us out next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So thank you guys once again. We'll see you next time. And you have a great week. And we can't wait to have you guys on that mock draft. So have a good one.